Hi, I'm Russ Littau, the founder of the Healing Center, and this is a review video from the Reiki workshops that we teach. Now this is a series of modules, and we'll be focusing on, in this module, one aspect of something we call Geometryxs, which is a methodology that we use to help us, that creates a platform to help us explain and to help students, like yourself, to understand in a more, if you will, comprehensive way some of these topics that sometimes they can feel almost a little bit ethereal or, overly philosophical. And it's like, how can I wrap my mind around these understandings and apply them, in my everyday life? And so this module will be speaking about something that we call our physical, non-physical map or circle. It's, as I said, it's part of a series. So if you want to check out the rest of them, you can always visit our YouTube channel. I'll just flash it on the screen, the address to it, and if you go to it, you can kind of sort through them, and you'll be able to find the other ones. All right. So in this present moment. So what's the present moment? Well, the present moment is right here, right now, right? And in this present moment, there are two unique neighborhoods, if you will, or hemispheres. Now, what I'm going to do is I'll explain that this way. So I'm going to draw a circle. All right. Like this. I'm going to draw a band in the center, like this. Okay. Now, this is a map, if you will, of this present moment. And in this present moment, there are two unique neighborhoods, using our map example, or hemispheres, if you will. And I'll explain. There is one that I label P for physical. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, this is the aspect of our experience in this present moment that fits in our five senses, right? It's the aspect of our experience that we experience with our five senses, okay? Then there's another neighborhood that I call non-physical. I labeled it non-P. And it's simply that aspect of this present moment that doesn't fit in our five senses. Now, I'll give you a couple of landmarks in this neighborhood just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so one of the landmarks that fit in this piece, this hemisphere of the map, is our thoughts. Right? Now, you can't take a thought and put it on a scale or, or measure with a tape measure, but I think we can all agree that just because it doesn't fit into our five senses world doesn't mean it's not real and not relevant to this present moment. And then one other landmark. Memories, right? So again, you can't, a memory doesn't have maybe a color, or you can't take the temperature of a memory, but just because it doesn't fit in our five senses world, if you will, doesn't mean it's not real. And as I'm sure we can all agree, is incredibly relevant and has a very real and significant effect on our present moment experience, doesn't it? Right? Okay. Now, Reiki practitioner, the way we look at somebody that has a physical illness or really any type of disruption, if you will, in this part of their world, right? Or whether it's some type of a psychological type thing or something like that, we see that as the last step, not the first step. Now, here's what I mean by that. When we look at that, what we see here, we see that as the last step that had its first step, if you will, or root cause here. So here's what I mean by that, and I'll use a different color here. We say that the initial imbalance, disruption, trauma, whatever words we want to use for it, is felt here first. Then over a period of time, and we can label this band time, right? Over a period of time, manifests through into our physical experience. Okay? Now, I'll give you an example. So pretend that, wherever you're watching this at, let's pretend that we're sitting in my living room and it's pouring rain outside. right? And we're having a conversation and we're talking away and how you doing, talk, how's things going. And I happen to notice that, over there, in the corner, I see water coming out of the baseboard. And I go, oh, wow, there's a leak in the baseboard. So I go and I plug the hole. I plug the leak in the baseboard. And I go, problem solved, right? No issues, problem solved. And then we're talking away, talk. And then I notice, well, over there, right? Well, geez, there's another leak in the baseboard. So I go and I plug that one, and problem solved, right? And then we're talking away, and then I go, wow, now look over there. I mean, there's another one. And I go, what is it with these three disassociated, totally unrelated leaks in the baseboard here and here and here? But what we know is that the water that we see here and here and here is only where we are seeing it, right? The root cause is a hole this big, way over in that corner of the roof, right? The water comes in the hole over a period of time, manifests through into this leak and this leak and this leak. Now, there's a real important understanding in this, because the same root cause, and I'll just label this now, we call this root cause, right? Or the hole in the roof, right? Okay? The same, and this, if you wrap your mind around this, it really changes your way of looking at things. The same root cause can manifest in our physical world as a physical issue of some type. It can manifest, let's say, as a financial challenge, right? It could manifest as a relationship challenge, and so what I'm saying is really anything here. And if you look at them, you may go, okay, so how can the two of these be related? Like how could the same root cause show up as a financial disruption, if you will, that I have in my present moment, as the relationship one? Right? Like, how does that fit, right? Well, this is how it fits, because that imbalance or that trauma here is going to cause an effect here. Now, another label we can use for our map is, with this understanding, this aspect of our experience we can call the effect. And I'll flash this up on your screen a little bit clearer so you can see it. The effect, and this one, the cause. You see, so our non-physical, not non-real, non-physical aspect of this moment is very much the causational aspect. And over periods of time, we see the effects of what is going on or not going on here. All right? Does that make sense? Important thing to remember. So when you're talking with somebody, let's say they have a physical issue of some type, understand that I'm not saying it's not real, but what I'm saying is it's an effect that has the cause here. Okay? Now, one clarification to that. So a person says, okay, if this is true, right? So, what about the person that, slipped on the ice and broke their ankle or something like that? Like how could this fit, right? Well, one characteristic of our physical world, and I'm going to label it here, is this. Stuff happens, right? And if you want to put another word for stuff, that's just fine, you can do that, right? So things happen here, and so for me, the person slipped on the ice, they broke their ankle. Okay, well, stuff happens. But if they slipped on the ice, broke their ankle, and 2 months later it's still not healed, you can bet money that there's some root cause here that, until it's addressed, is going to keep showing the effects here, right? And just using our leaky roof, right? Until we fix that hole in the roof, we'll be plugging these leaks in the baseboard till the cows come home. But until we address the hole in the roof or the root cause, the leaks are keep coming back, right? However, if we can address the root cause, that that hole in the roof, Not only does that leak go away, but so does that one and that one and that one, and no new ones come back, right? Now, why is Reiki good news to this scenario? Because Reiki is a non-physical healing modality. So Reiki works here. Reiki works in the causational piece of this puzzle or this map that sits and lives right here. Okay? Now, one other piece to this, and we'll just draw this in. I'm going to draw another circle up here, like this. I label this one, I am. And if you've looked at some of our other video modules, you'll have seen this illustrated, and it's the same thing, okay? So, the three components, if you will, of this present moment is the physical aspect of it, okay? It fits in our five senses, all right? The non-physical, not non-real, just non-physical, right? And then there's you, right? You ride around, you play around or adventure around in this moment as this continues to evolve and roll out, right? But it's not who you are. And I think for me, that's one of the really neat things about Reiki, and whether you're doing self-treatments or, you know, when I was treating a lot of folks, is one of the first, often the first effect, if you will, that they experience from a treatment maybe wasn't this immediately resolving, right? Because think about this. So if this is the process, right? Initial imbalance, trauma, root cause, right? Over a period of time, it manifests through into the physical. When balance is restored, over a period of time, manifests through into the physical, right? So when I fixed the hole in the roof, there still may be a little water come out from the leaks in the baseboard, the little residuals that are left, right? The same thing happens with this. Now, the good news I always like to say is that, the road out of the ditch is always a lot shorter than the road into it, okay? So, if this root cause has been here, I don't know, 10 years, right? When balance is restored, it doesn't mean it's going to take 10 years for us to see the effect, okay? But understanding that there's a period of time, right? And periods of time of the effects that we see when a root causes balance, because your client or yourself, right, you may experience some things right away, and you may experience some things 2 days from now, 3 days from now, 2 weeks from now, a month from now, right? That's the neat thing about this. It really is the gift that keeps on giving, right? Because if this balance is restored, it's not a one-time effect that you see here. It continues to evolve, okay? So one of the things for myself doing self-treatment, especially when I first started, when I was working on other people, often the first effect that they would notice maybe not be that things are resolved here. But what it was they started to feel something called peace. Or we'll say peaceful, right? They started, I don't know whether it has one L or two L's, but what the heck, right? They felt peaceful. Often not because this has changed, but despite this has changed. And that's really, again, the good news to the good news, because, one of the other aspects of this hemisphere is, as we like to say, everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end, including you, So, and we live in a world where stuff happens, so even if, whether it's on yourself or whether working with other people, even if maybe they don't experience, a total resolution here, they will still feel this. Not because of this, but many times despite it. And, for me, and I've been doing this for a while now, that's what people are looking for. Of course, they're looking for resolution here, but you know what they're really looking for? They're really looking for this. And for me, this, peaceful, comes from remembering that this is who we are. Yeah, we ride around, in this vehicle called a body, right? In this playground called this present moment experience, right? And everything it has to offer. but it's not who we are. And you know, I think in many respects, that's maybe one of the greatest gifts that we can offer as the Reiki practitioner. Okay, so physical, non-physical map of this present moment and how the understandings work with how we create, you know, if you will, this, you know, through these imbalances, you know, whether again financial, physical, whatever it might be, relationship, and then how balance is restored using Reiki and why and how it does that. Excellent. Thanks for spending some time with me, and we'll see you in the next video.